It's Randy. This week I'm here with Gerald Williams, the Iron County Service Representative. And today we're going to talk about how often you should see your county service rep to update how you're doing, your health records, and more or less to see what changes are going on in our veteran community. So today, here's Gerald Williams, and he will take it over from here.
Greetings. What we're going to talk about today is a little bit on, like he said, the frequency of how often you should see your VA healthcare provider, and how often you should go visit your county office. We're also going to talk a little bit about keeping of personal records. So first of all, with the Department of Veteran Affairs, it basically works on a use it or lose it proposition. If you go see the hospital at least once a year, you will be fine. If you go over 24 months, it's a use it or lose it type of thing, and you will get disenrolled. So make sure you're going to see your provider. Once again, annually would be the best bet, and that keeps them up to date. When it comes to the service office, what we're concerned with is the frequency of how often things change in your life. If you move, change your address, change your bank, those are all things we need to know about so we can get the forms processed to keep everything up to date with the Department of Veteran Affairs. The other reason you should come and see a county veteran service officer is based on your healthcare provider. The Department of Veteran Affairs has a duty to assist. If they note in your medical history that a condition that you're service connected for has gotten worse to the point that it may be compensable, they are compelled by the duty to assist law to inform you need to go see a service officer. So if your healthcare provider tells you go see a service officer, that's the big hint. All right, so make sure you keep that up. Also, keeping up in track with the law. When things change, which we'll cover here in a little bit with the PACT Act, if you have any new conditions, then those are things we need to worry about. If you have any other change of life plans, like for instance, you want to take care of your life plans when it comes to your burial benefits with the National Cemetery Administration, you can pre-fill out the forms at your county veteran service officer or with your county veteran service office and have those change of life plans of record so that when you do pass away, those are things that your family doesn't have to deal with. It is already planned out. It's already exactly how you want it done. Also, your personal records. The big thing you want to worry about with your personal records is making sure you have all the proper forms in a file where your family can get at them in the case of your incapacitation or your death. Because those personal records are a little bit more difficult to get, not impossible, but a little more difficult to get when the family comes in to process burial benefits or to help you in the case of your incapacitation to try to get your health care. The things you should keep in your personal records is the big thing is obviously your DD-214s. You want to make sure if you have multiple DD-214s, especially with like the Navy, make sure that you have every single copy of your DD-214 of record. We prefer the member 4 copy, but whichever one you have. If you don't have these things, once again, go see your county veteran service officer, and they can go to the National Personnel Records Center and get all these forms for you, and then you can keep them on record once you have them. Life plans, anything else you have when it comes to your VA benefits that you would like on record, you want to make sure you have those items, especially when it comes to and the big thing we've had lately is insurance. If you have VA insurance for your life insurance, make sure a copy of your insurance policy is in your personal records so the family doesn't have to dig for it or try to find stuff like that. The other thing we want to talk about today is the PACT Act. The PACT Act is probably the biggest and largest expansion of VA benefits in the history of the Department of Veteran Affairs. What this opened up is presumptive conditions for toxic exposure. So basically, any of the Gulf War era veterans or post 9/11 veterans eligibility, there's a lot of things out there when it comes to burn pit and other toxic exposure conditions for the new presumptives. They're covering brain cancer, gastrointestinal cancer, uh, head cancer, kidney cancer, lymphatic cancer. All of these are listed on va.gov. You can look it up by going to the search engine and looking up va.gov. But there are a huge amount of new areas. So if you served after September 11th, 2001 in Afghanistan, Djibouti, Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, Uzbekistan, Yemen, or any of the airspace above, that's the big difference between the Agent Orange exposure and the burn pit exposure. Because when it comes to Agent Orange, pilots flying over weren't exposed to Agent Orange because obviously gravity takes the chemical down to the ground. Burn pit exposure, the smoke was all going up. So any pilots that were flying over the area during the Gulf War, you all are presumptive condition for all of this stuff. After August 2nd, 1990, they added Bahrain, Iraq, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Somalia, and the United Arab Emirates, or once again, any of the airspace above that, due to the exposure of the smoke and chemicals that were in the air. Anybody that was in these areas during those time frames needs to go to the nearest Department of Veteran Affairs office or hospital, find the eligibility office, take in your DD-214s, and get signed up to be on this burn pit registry. The burn pit registry is going to automatically put you in a situation where if you have any of the presumptive conditions, they're going to look for it, make sure you don't do or do not have any of the conditions, and then you can go from there with your service officer. With Agent Orange, they did add a couple of new items. Hypertension or high blood pressure is new on the list, along with monoclonal gammopathy, which is a blood disease that if you have it, your doctor will let you know about it. So they also added locations. Before the PACT Act, if you were at any of the U.S. Royal Thai military bases, unless you were security forces or on a security detail assigned to the perimeter of those bases, you wouldn't have been covered. Only the people on the perimeters were. With the PACT Act, it opened anyone that was stationed at those bases in Thailand. It also opens up Laos from December 1st, 1965 through September 30th, 1969. Cambodia, there was a whole bunch of areas there. Guam or American Samoa, or the territorial waters off those areas. And Johnston Atoll on ships that called into Johnston Atoll during January 1st, 72 to September 30th, 1977. If you served in any of these areas, by all means, get into a local service office, bring in your DD-214s, and get these claims taken care of. There's also a couple of presumptive areas when it comes to Air Force members that were assigned to clean up aircraft accidents involving nuclear weapons. There was a couple of them, you know, if you were there.